Film club.
That'd be cool. That'd be so fucking cool.
That'd be good, yeah. Because Nick from New Girl would suit that. I'd be nettled.
Thank you very much for joining us from an episode of Film Club. I am one of your hosts, Andy Harrison. To my right, as always, it's the stinging Andy Knowlton.
Fucking wankers. Nettles.
Every single week in Film Club, we invite you along to watch a film with us. We dive into some of the cinema's best before coming back here to talk it out. Andy, this week, we have touched on something very special.
Prisoners. Because he hasn't seen it. Because he hasn't seen much of his work.
I hadn't seen it until this week. Because we watched it.
Wow. If you don't follow us, you would like that be a huge surprise to us.
Right. Prisoners, one of Denis Villeneuve's films.
Aye.
We did Sicario last week.
Yep.
So give us the quick rundown on what Prisoners is all about.
Prisoners is about a suburban neighborhood. You got the guy and his wife, Hugh Jackman and his wife, and they've got kids, and the mate's next door who's got a little kid. Those two little girls get kidnapped, and it's about them trying to find their kids. It's about the detective, Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's about really it's a film about what Denis Villeneuve was really good at. Is about kind of like how they're trying to find the daughter, or what kind of their ethical level they're going to go through, their morals and stuff like that, and at what lengths do you go to achieve your result? Sicario. What are you doing?
Your microphone's slightly higher than mine. It makes me feel inadequate.
Oh, right. Welcome to my life. So, where we were about Sicario, you said a really good thing last week where you said, is it worth it? All this stuff, is it worth it? This corruption and stuff like that. In this case, you learn about the actual level, in this case, Hugh Jackman went to, because they do find the daughter in the end, through all this turmoil and stuff like that. There is some shit that goes down, poor Paul Dano, and in the end, you look at Jackman, who's like, was all the effort you went through? Obviously, he's grieving, worried father sort of thing. Is it worth it? And what I think that aspect of I love Sicario for its feel, its music, its absolute suspense throughout the whole film. So for me, it's ever so slightly better. What I do love about this is it's more of a thriller, suspense. It is entirely thrilling throughout. You that way, this way, the way, the other. But for me, that whole the ethical value of the protagonist, or arguably the protagonist, that is portrayed so much better in this than it is Sicario.
Yeah, do you remember? So last week, I think it was off camera. I don't think we said this on camera. We had a brief discussion about this idea that I didn't take to Sicario because it was a little bit cold, and the whole militaristic thing.
He hates the militaristic
puts me
thing.
off. I do hate the militaristic thing. The whole man with gun. How does man solve problem of man with gun? Well, solves man with gun problem by throwing more man with gun at man with gun. That's the whole problem that Sicario had for me.
There are guns in this.
There are guns with this. This solved most of the problems in Sicario.
I imagine you really like this.
Loved this.
I imagine you like this.
Absolutely loved it. This was I think the thing that caught me was you've got this really. You've got a very suspenseful film where you wouldn't often expect suspense to be. And that's kind of what Denis Villeneuve has shown that he can do very well. We talked a little bit last week about Sicario and the scene where they're on the highway. It's the cars.
I fucking love that.
It's not a particularly suspenseful event, but he just injects suspense into it. And similarly here, you can feel something swelling and something unnerving about as they slowly discover the kids are missing. He does that same sort of thing here, but I think what gets me with this more than Sicario, he spent the time at the beginning, not a huge amount of time, but he spent some time at the beginning.
What with the families together?
Yeah, telling me why I care about this family.
Yeah, because they've got normal family values, stuff that we grew up with, stuff like that. All roommates and stuff like this. You got what's his name from 13 Reasons Why, and the older sister as well, just chilling out in the chair it's family time, like this.
Yeah.
Then suddenly they're fucking deep shit into, Christ, my little sister's missing.
It feels so natural in a way that you don't predict that the kid, if you don't know what the film's about, you don't predict the kids are about to go missing, because he doesn't put too much emphasis on those two kids. They are kind of in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
Kids would be, you're going for Thanksgiving with the family, the kids are running around, they're fucking annoying, you just kind of ignore them. You're like, yeah, just go home, find your whistle, I don't care. And then it's that sort of not caringness that leads to...
What I love is this is my second time watching it. I watched it at the cinemas. Me and my dad, we used to go out quite often. Me and my dad was like, fucking hell, that was good. Like, fucking hell, that was good. What I really like watching it again is obviously I know what happened at the end. I know the twist. It's not really a twist, but it is a twist. You don't really see that coming from her. And that car that obviously Jacqueline's under and where the kid was, there are fucking subtle shots for that car in. You watch it again, Andy, and you look at the house where it's like Chillenhall going to the house to question, and the camera slowly pans to include this burnt out car. The car, honestly, and you watch it, and I'm just thinking, fucking well played, well played. That is subtle. There you go, mate. There you go.
Well, on the subject of that, and those subtle camera movements, I've noticed this is a thing which Denis Villeneuve seems to love, is the slow tracking.
Yeah.
Just the slow tracking. It's part of things that helps build this suspense all the time. He loves those drones, those slow tracking. We were talking before we started doing this. This is Roger Deakins again. This is the first film that Roger Deakins and Denis Villeneuve worked on together.
Well played.
Before doing like one of the 2 or 3 after this.
Sicario, Blade Runner, and there's another. Did he do Arrival?
He didn't do Arrival. No. Someone else did. I can't remember his name. Ben Young, maybe. So, yeah. Hats off once again. We won't go over it for a second time, but we talked last week about Roger Deakins. We talked about how amazing of a cinematographer Roger Deakins is. You see it yet again here.
He was nominated, but he didn't get the...
I think maybe Sicario looks a little better than this.
You didn't like how Sicario looked?
No, I did. We talked at length last week about how gorgeous that film looks.
What did we do before Sicario?
Who knows?
No, it's Ocean's. It's Ocean's 11. You didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't like Ocean's
because it was
11.
orangey and Sicario was orangey. My apologies.
They do some nice stuff here with the use of orange in a really lovely way, and some really lovely uses of like yellow when, especially in the bathroom, when it's just horrible and he's beating the hell out of him. Like there's some really nice use of color and like subtle tracking, and like Roger Deakins' classic use of the way he'll move a camera rather than cutting all the time. Great stuff. The film's great.
I like how it's got this, when you got a lot of the nighttime through it as well, and you just got this deep, deep blue, and it completely washes over that, that depression sombre kind of melancholic almost feel to the film, and you're just like drawn into it, and you're just like, fuck.
Well, speaking of something being sombre and melancholic, the music in this.
Yes, so again, Johan Johansson.
There's this, is it him again?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I know.
We mentioned the drones. We mentioned the fact that he loves to build tension
fucking
through the drones.
Drones.
But then, I think my favourite addition in the soundtrack is every time there's this sort of like, there's this incoming sadness, this violin, this use of a violin,
so
strings
again,
that start to play.
The traditional sounds, it like just playing, play on your heartstrings, stuff like that. The violin always kicks in, that there's one single alone violin just to kick in.
But he'll use it like very, very sparse soundtrack.
Yes,
then the violin will just come in out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But then when it's a really impactful moment, the violin just comes in, or like I assume multiple strings come in from everywhere. It's great. It's a lovely soundtrack.
It's such a contrast. Like to anyone will tell you, if you ever want to build suspense, fucking drones, man. Many other things you could have. There's a guy, actually, just a bit of a tangent. There's a guy on YouTube, and he has his own kind of fucking sound maker for horror films and suspense and stuff like that. And it's got like a piece of metal, and he has like a fucking bow that he used for a violin, and he just goes like that, and all those sounds like Insidious and stuff like that. And yeah, you can do stuff like that. You can make sound effects to enhance that sound, but fuck me, drones will get you, because if you have a deep vibrating feeling in the bottom of you, because like low bass, it like hits you there as opposed to there, it unsettles you. It fucking unsettles you. And when you do it like you shift it in and out, like not phase, but pitch in and out. I did it for a film before, and I remember our mate, he went to me and was like, fucking hell, Andy. He goes, that's really, really like, it messes me. And I was like, yeah, because I read online that you do that with a bass, you change the pitch. And he goes, I didn't like it. Like he likes it, but I didn't like how he made it feel. So Johan Johansson's obviously put that into this, but like you said, obviously the contrast is uses the strings to enhance that joyful relief. That lovely feeling when the kids are found and stuff like that.
I was talking about the other way around, but yeah, absolutely.
You reckon?
I was talking about sometimes there's these emotional punches that he uses with it when they get bad news, or when they're finding out about.
Like when he gets in the I tell you what's a great example. Actually, good point. Yeah, is when he's in the station. He's like looking through the pictures.
Yes. Yeah.
And he's finding out one of the socks. What do you think then? Because we obviously went about Sicario, and we just said like acting nails it, absolutely fucking kills it. I don't know which I prefer in terms of the acting ability of this, because fucking hell, some standout performance in this. Just as Sicario, there's some standout performances in this.
So this is, I think the difference is these are the performances, although in some similar veins, are quite far apart. It's because these guys get to work with some really sort of meaty, very close to the bone emotional stuff.
Yeah.
Whereas in Sicario, it was much more about
Intimidation.
internalization of emotions. Whereas these guys get to externalize that quite a lot.
Well played, well said.
And it's like the cast is amazing.
Yes.
But two, it's not just because the cast is amazing. Everybody plays it at like the top of their game as well.
Like Hugh Jackman has so much, probably the most depth I've seen Hugh Jackman play.
Yeah. No, this is a sort of film that says to you, like, Hugh Jackman has been wasted on Wolverine.
Yeah, and other things as well. I mean, he's had some fantastic films. He's great in The Prestige. But then you look at Jake Gyllenhaal, and obviously he's quite calm. He's like this. He's a bit subdued. But as he more gets into it, he's more emotionally involved. And you have that fucking amazing scene towards the end where he's racing down his fucking car. He's being shot in the head. He's trying to go through. He can't fucking see. Come on, like this. Come on, I can do it. I was just like, I'm there. I'm like, fuck.
It was really funny seeing, because when Jake Gyllenhaal first appears and he's in the diner, the Chinese, wherever he is, I think it's a Chinese restaurant he's in.
Yeah.
And the shot comes up from behind him, and again, it's that slow track in, and he looks a little bit off. Like you kind of, the cut is also there to suggest that maybe this is the guy that took them at one point, and they're not selling him as a trustworthy character straight away. I love that the film presents this idea of it's got this like religious themes running throughout it everywhere. It's making commentary on religious sort of, or particularly Christian beliefs.
Fanatics.
Not necessarily fanatics, but Christian beliefs and where the line is for Christian beliefs.
Yeah, was it fanatical? Them two were fanatical.
Mixing that with
distrust.
No, very real moral difficulties.
Yeah.
So if you have somebody, like, my favorite moment from this film, I think, overall, is when Hugh Jackman struggles to recite the Lord's Prayer because he realizes, like, halfway through, he kind of realizes he can't, like, he no longer has those Christian values.
Yeah.
So it's hypocritical of him to recite that Lord's Prayer at that time.
I think Melissa Leo kills it in this. When I first watched this, and she was there, it's like, oh yeah, my son like this. You were dealing with a fucking sociopath, and my God, she plays a sociopath where, like, and at the end, and he's got a scene where he's like, I don't want to hurt you like this, and get in the car like this, and she's fucking professional about the whole thing. What a fucking switch. I didn't expect that at all when I first saw this. I didn't know what to expect, to be fair. I was like, is it Denis? Is it that guy who shot himself? Fucking hell. She nails it.
I called it.
Did you?
Yeah, I don't know why. I don't normally call things at all. I called that and what's his name? The guy they torture.
Denis.
He was actually the kid that was missing.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, what?
Don't know why. Just kind of came to me. Thank you.
Paul Denis. Oh, he fucking hell. Paul Denis.
Yeah.
Paul Denis was just fucking Paul Denis. Sorry, keep saying that. He does a really good. I want to say this in the nicest, politest manner, and it's one of the reasons I want to do Swiss Army Man. Paul Denis plays a really good whiny character, and I mean this. Hold up. But he plays a really good whiny character. He's got that kind of, like, you look at like Little Miss Sunshine. You look at a great example is just in my fucking head. There Will Be Blood. Yeah. Oh, fucking Paul Denis on There Will Be Blood. Well played, mate. He plays a really good kind of like fragile person. What better example in Prisoners? Yeah. What better? And he's got that, like, kind of like childish element to him. He's like, the only crime on left him like this. And then when he's beat up and that, he's just looking on when he's in that fucking amazing shot when he's in the shower and he's just looking through. Oh man,
the eye's great because, like, that's almost like you that's all you see of him for a long time.
And yet you can fucking feel that emotion, that how he's just terrified and stuff. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing. He's in what the mind of a 10-year-old or something. And equally, to go alongside that, one last little bit is I'll just look in there, Viola Davies. I love that little scene where she comes in and there's that, again, moral value, like, do we let him go? And it's Terrence Howard, isn't it? It's about to let him go. And she goes, please, Alex, let me know where
Terrence Howard?
Terrence Howard, yeah. Old Roddy.
Yeah.
Terrence Howard. So Roddy from Iron Man 1 until the recast is Don Cheadle. he's trying to get through, and then what's her name, Viola Davies, is just like, no, we should like let's turn a blind eye, and like it's stuff like this, and I'm thinking, fucking hell, like Hugh Jackman's going to go to jail. What happens to these two? They're going to have that living that the rest of their life that they tortured someone who's got the mind of a 10-year-old. Yep. What the fuck do you do? What the fuck do you do?
Who was kind of innocent
an accomplice
and kind of guilty at the same time.
But he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing by the sounds of it.
Yeah, and he doesn't know what the hell's going on because of what she did to him.
And that's what Villeneuve, however you pronounce it, that's what he does. He just fucking plays on your emotions, your like kind of your morals.
There's a lot of objectivity to what he does. He kind of goes like, here's this, you make up what you want about this.
Like Sicario, like Benicio del Toro, is he the protagonist, is he the antagonist? He's that moral grey, that's that grey ground in between, same with Josh Brolin.
Whereas I do think that here, I think when we were talking about Sicario last week, when we were talking about Benicio del Toro, his character, I was very much like, I understood he was trying to do the grey thing of like, he had his family murdered, but he's now going to take the life of this guy.
Spoilers.
It still felt like he was kind of in the wrong because his family was already dead. The problem thing has already happened.
Yes, it's like
here,
retribution.
It's more revenge. Wonderfully grey because like Hugh Jackman's at a point where if I don't try and beat the living hell out of this guy, if I don't try and torture him to make him talk, then my daughter's going to die.
It's the same with the other two as well.
The other one's going to die.
Yeah.
Little odd thing about the film is that they put way more emphasis on Hugh Jackman's kid than on
maybe it's just showing it from Hugh Jackman's
Terrence
perspective.
Howard's kid.
Kind of, because he's
it's absolutely because he's the protagonist, but like much more emphasis is put onto that side of it. It just feels a little bit imbalanced.
Maybe so.
Minor issue. This just want to mention tiny little downside to the film. The script a little awkward at times.
But
there's just occasionally there's these odd lines which are really sort of left of field. Like when she's talking to Hugh Jackman's wife is talking to Jake Gyllenhaal, and she says like, "Oh, you've solved every case you've ever been on," and he's like the super cop. And then later on, there's all the stuff where she gets a little bit shafted in terms of character development because like she's breaking down and she's saying to Hugh Jackman like, "You said you could protect us from anything." They're just a little bit heavy-handed with some of the thematic things that are going on.
She's obviously depressed and all this. It's just like
So, but tiny. This film, like from beginning to end, had me really sort of engaged, and every step of the way I was like, I wanted to know what was going to happen, and that's very difficult to do over 2 hours 20.
Very much so.
Something like that.
Very much so.
Quite a long film, but yeah.
Now they watch it.
No, unfortunately not.
Fair play.
I was going to do that thing today where I've got so much work to do, so I was like, I'm just going to work while watching this film at the same time. 2 minutes in, I was like, nah, work's going. I lost like over 2 hours of work because this film was like brilliant.
To be fair, I was up last night. I had a late night slant. I was watching it. I started at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I was thinking, I'll watch an hour, then I'll watch it on like my journey to work and stuff. Nah, I stayed up till 4 o'clock. Like 3 o'clock, sort of watching this because I was so engaging, and I was just like, I need to know what happens at the end, even though I know what happens, just because like fucking what an experience.
It's great.
So like, well played.
There is, I was going to say Sicario, but no, we did Sicario last week. If you want to watch Sicario, go and check out the video from last week. There is Prisoners. You can let us know in the comments below what you thought of Prisoners, or you can hit us up on Twitter as always. Andy, though, we'll be back once again next week where we're going to be rounding out our impromptu Denis Villeneuve trilogy.
Yeah, we fancied doing it, didn't we?
We thought
we
thought to take a look at Denis Villeneuve's very first film, our very first feature film, we should say, to round out our look at him as a director. The film is called August 32nd on Earth.
Un 32 out sur terre.
Is it French?
Yes, it's French.
Oh, really?
He's Montreal. He's Quebec.
I know he's Canadian.
French Canadian.
But I didn't realize he'd done films in French.
Yep. All his first ones are in French. I think there's a French Arabic. There's a two French English.
Right.
So
cool. So yeah, you can come back next week. Oh my God, we're at the point where I think after having watched this film today, I'm just a little bit mentally destroyed.
Yeah.
So we'll try this once again. You can join us next week for another episode of Film Club. Thank you very much, guys. See you then.